Good evening. Welcome to the Late Late Show with me, Irish Tommy. As always, thanks for joining. Now, last week, it was myself and Nick, and we kind of got into a big conversation, mostly about Moyes. And so the live chat was largely ignored, which was pointed out to me in the comments after. So this week, I am going to include the live chat a lot more. We're going to read out a lot more of the comments, engage much more with the live chat than we did last week. And when I say we, I'm talking about me old mocker. Budgie, how are you doing, mate?
I'm all right, thanks, Tommy. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm good, my friend. Still buzzing a little bit from Wednesday night.
Oh yeah, that's not going to go away anytime soon, mate.
No, well, hope we'll see tomorrow at 5 o'clock how we feel. But
Oh yeah,
we'll get into all that. But before we crack into it, just going to have a quick pop into the live chat, see who's knocking about.
let's do that.
Yeah, Daniel Waitman's in straight out the gate. Look, Moyes' biggest problem is Brentford playing Moyes' tactics much better than Moyes. Hopefully, the lads will ignore Moyes' tactics and play like they did against Arsenal. We'll get into all of that. And there we are. That's Budgie saying hello to everyone. Happy Raver is in the house. How you doing, mate?
That's Miss Hammeret's husband, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
We've got a pair. We've got
yeah.
Happy in as well.
Oh no, not Happy's husband, Miss Hammeret. Another.
Oh, Miss Hammer. Sorry, I thought you
Yeah,
meant Happy. Sorry,
yeah.
Happy. But anyway, Happy is here as always. One of my regulars. Love Happy Hammerette. How are you, sweetie? It says, evening, Happy River. Great to have a new Hammers subscriber. Yeah, always nice to see new faces around. Lawrence Watkins from Lexington, Kentucky in the US. Thanks for joining, mate.
Hi, Lawrence.
See who else is in. I think they're mostly... John's in. How are we doing, John? Evening to you, sir. I think... Oh, sorry. Maltese Hammer.
Yeah,
Got a Maltese Hammer in the house as well. Thanks for joining as always. And Swepo is in as well. Evening, Swepo. Steve Brown, another regular. Good to see you,
yeah,
mate. It's a busy
yeah. We got a few in already. That's
win
nice
already.
to
It's
see.
already quite lively. It must be a quiet Friday night, is it? We're off to a flyer. Paul Evans in, evening, mate. And KPWHU is in. Um, and I think, oh, who else we got? Brian Flowers is in the house as well. Where is it? It jumped on me, sorry. Uh, from New Hampshire in the US. Got a few in from the US of A this evening, Budgie.
Yeah, yeah.
And Darren Rule is in, Steve Dillon, Honda Parish. Yeah, absolutely. That's an Irish thing. Don't worry.
On the parish. Yeah.
It's an inside joke between me and him.
There's lots of people in. Oh, lovely.
Yeah, the Black Country Hammer is in. Um,
Steve West Ham United Bell's in.
yeah, Steve Bella's in. Sorry if I missed you, Steve. This has been jumping on me, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
But good
love
to
that.
see you, mate. John is in. Most of are already half cut. Yeah,
Steve
some
Tiley,
people,
Paul Chambers.
yes,
Lovely.
Paul
Nice to
Chambers
see a lot
in.
of people in.
Artel is in. This keeps jumping on me, so I apologise if I'm missing you, but I am seeing you. Artel is in. My source out. Um, Stuart Jenkins is in. So yeah, we got a nice lively chat, which is great to see. And I will involve you
Lovely.
all tonight once we get into some subjects and stuff. But only place we can start really, Budgie, is the Carabao Cup. Um,
Yeah.
what's she saying? Who's jumping on me? Who's jumping on you?
We were saying
Unfortunately, the live
that's
chat
coming.
is
Yeah.
jumping on me, so
Yeah, the live chat.
yeah, I'm going to click on one, and then it jumps, and I click on one I didn't mean to. So
Yeah,
yeah, but
it
yeah,
can do that.
thankfully nobody's physically jumping on me. Only Sinead's allowed to do that. Yeah,
Too much information, Tom.
yeah, we'll leave that one there.
Right.
It's not that kind of show.
No,
Uh,
no, no, no.
you'll have to subscribe to me on OnlyFans for that content.
Only
But,
fans.
but yeah, Wednesday night. Now, unfortunately, I was working on one of my shifts, and that shift is until 10 p.m. So I wasn't able to watch the game properly. I had it
Right.
on in the van, But obviously,
Yeah.
when I'm in the van, I had it on the dashboard in front of me where the speedometer is. So I couldn't actually watch it,
Right.
except
Right.
if I was stopped, in traffic or
Yeah.
something, or at lights or
You
something
can
like
hear
that.
the commentary,
I can hear
etc.,
the
and
commentary because I've got it plugged into the van.
pull
So
over quick when you hear there's a goal and
yeah,
all
so I've
that.
got to
Yeah, I
be
know.
very careful about when I'm looking down,
Yeah.
so I don't crash the van. But so I had a good idea of what was happening.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I watched the game myself, and from minute one, Tommy, we were rampant. That's the only word I can use for it, really. We were rampant. We were up for it. You could see it in the boys' eyes when they walked out on the pitch. They were absolutely up for it. And there was no way that any of them lads were going to walk off of that pitch with a loss. You could see it in their faces, you know.
yeah,
It
I
was,
mean, yeah, so especially the second half.
yeah,
First half, I thought, the attitude was there. You could see the intent was there.
yeah,
Um, but we just struggled a bit when we did get the ball to really trouble the keeper,
yeah,
which was unfortunate because there were opportunities there that we did have. Um, there was one break where Paqueta just completely overhit the through ball to Bowen, which is unlike
yeah,
him.
yeah,
We could
yeah.
have created an opportunity from. So I
He
thought
learned
first
from it.
the application was really good, but
Mm,
we just weren't able to turn it into any real opportunities to trouble their goal. And so that was unfortunate. But as it turned out, we didn't need it. Um,
well, yeah. I mean,
because,
Aguerd stepped up, didn't he? Let's be fair.
yeah,
His cross-field balls all evening
yeah.
were sublime. And the one for Mo Kudus' second goal was a peach.
Yeah,
An
brilliant pass.
absolute peach.
Yeah, but in the first half, that wasn't really happening for us. We weren't really
No,
able to open them
no.
up. We weren't quite at it on the counter attack, and we were quite blunt in attack. We just weren't getting our attacks right. But as I said, as it turned out, we didn't really need to because Ben White decided to do it for us. But
Sorry, I was reading one of the comments and I missed what you said.
I was saying it didn't really turn out to matter in the first half because
No,
Mr.
I
White
mean,
very kindly decided to do it for us.
yeah, and I mean, like the thing is, there's been a lot of talk from certain circles that it wasn't a competition that Arsenal wanted to pursue, etc., etc. That's absolute bollocks, by the way. But Arteta didn't take us seriously. That's what his mistake was on Wednesday night. He didn't take us seriously enough. And, it showed by him playing 5 substitutes that he had dropped for the game because he didn't think that we were much of a threat. And then he had to bring on 5 of his big guns, including our previous number 41. I have to be honest with you, I thought David Moyes' tactics and his approach to the game was clinical. It was clinical. We were ruthless.
Yeah, that second
3-0 up with 90 minutes gone. It's just, you don't expect that against a team like Arsenal.
Yeah, just on that, Budgie, for me, I think, now look, I'm not trying to downplay how well we played, because we did play very, very well on the night and absolutely deserved our win.
Yeah,
And given how well we were playing, we would have perhaps beaten them anyway, who knows. But I think Arteta did the same thing that Moyes did out in Athens against Olympiacos. He made a raft of changes and hoped he'd get away with it. And the problem when you do that is that you're putting a lot of players out on the pitch who don't normally play together. And so you can get a disjointed performance where nothing is clicking for them because they're just not as used to each other as the first 11 are, because they play week in, week out with each other. You can get away with making a certain amount of changes, but I think there's a tipping point to how many changes you can make to the team. And unless you're playing, a much weaker side, I think you often just don't get away with it. So with us putting out such a strong team, I don't think Arteta was ever going to get away with making that many changes.
no,
and could expect to win that game. It's exactly the same thing Moyes did in Athens against Olympiacos. He made
Exactly.
too many changes. He thought we could still go out and get a performance out of them, and we couldn't because they just don't play together enough.
Exactly that. And you can understand why David Moyes does kind of favour certain players, because he likes to have that cohesion between the players. You know, I can understand it. It's frustrating as hell because, in my opinion, a lot of the players that he shows a lot of commitment to aren't the best of the players that he's got available to him. For example, Antonio. Now, we all love what Antonio's done for the club. I would say, I would hazard a guess that 95% of the fan base have, Antonio deep in their heart and love him for what he's done. The fact is that he is now slowing up. He's not as effective up front as he has been. And it showed on Wednesday night when he played Jared Bowen up front instead of Antonio. Antonio didn't even get his training top or his beanie out off all game. He wasn't warmed up, he was, but he wasn't warmed up properly, and he was never brought on. And it just goes to show the result that we got, the performance that we saw, the intent that was there, the tactics that were in place. It was all close to perfect on Wednesday night. Close to perfect. There was one or two issues.
I think it's going to be very, very difficult now for Moyes to justify dropping Kudus.
Oh, it's impossible for him to justify it now. Well, in the eyes of a ground floor supporter that we are, that's what we are. We're ground floor supporters. We pay our money, we go and watch the game, we have our opinion on YouTube, etc. But we're just like ground floor, and for us, I think it's probably unanimous within our circles that Kudus is a nailed on starter now, and it just is David Moyes going to see it that way. We know how stubborn that man can be. But
and to be fair, he has been very, very loyal to Antonio.
He has, and you can understand it. Antonio's really done a job for him. He has done over the last 4 or 5 years. He's done a real job for the club.
Yeah.
But unfortunately now, it's got to the point where there's younger, more athletic, more clinical players. Okay, then they haven't got the strength and the luck element that Antonio had. Because let's be honest, Antonio's performances relied a lot on some luck, and for me, Antonio has been a perfect, loyal servant for the club, but his time has come to an end, or it's coming to an end, because I don't think that at his age and his physical levels that he can keep up with the Premier League game anymore. I don't think he can do it.
Yeah, it does seem like, and I love Antonio as well, and I think he's been a wonderful servant as well. So, I have nothing against Antonio whatsoever. So this is not me getting on his back or slagging him or anything, but it does feel like this season, like he's kind of hit the wall a little bit, and that he's on the decline. And the fact of the matter is that at this point, Kudus and Bowen between them carry a far greater goal threat than
Massively.
Antonio does. Massively. As much effort as Antonio puts in, you just never feel like he's carrying a goal threat.
Yeah, you're more or less relying on him for his hold-up play these days.
Whereas whenever you've got Kudus and Bowen in and around the penalty area, you feel like they're capable of making something happen. And
Kudus has only got to be in the opposing half, and something can happen.
Yeah, exactly. It
that shot he took Was that on Wednesday night when he took a shot from about 35 yards and it was only just wide of the post?
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's what we've been wanting from Antonio for God knows how long. And, you know, he don't do it. He consistently doesn't do it. And then he goes away on international duty with Jamaica and scores a 48-yard smasher. But he won't do it in claret and blue.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Whereas Kudus, on the other hand, he's basically been weaned on taking chances. Playing for Ajax, you know, he was given more or less a free run. You know, okay, I'm going to play you as a number 10, but be wherever you want, do whatever you want, score me goals, get me assists. You know, that's basically what his job was. And really, to be honest with you, that's what his job was on Wednesday night. You know, he was he replaced Bowen out on the right wing, but he was more often than not behind Bowen, you know, up front. Yeah. So, you know, for me, I think he's undroppable, Tom. Really do.
And certainly now with the performances he's been putting in and the goals he's been scoring, it's not going to fly for Moyes now to say he still needs more time to bed in. He's clearly bedded in. Like, he's hit the ground running. He's good to go. So play the man. He's on fire. I'm going to get to some of the live chat here.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to suggest, mate. Because there's a few.
There are some questions that are coming in. Maltese Hammer says, "Do you think the Ben White goal would have been chalked off if VAR was in operation?" I think
absolutely,
absolutely would have been, especially given as that we were playing Arsenal. I think they probably wouldn't have been able to wait to fucking chalk that goal off. They couldn't have chalked it off quickly enough. I think there was, excuse me now, just rearranging my top. I think there was a tug on the shirt from Souček.
It was a little bit more than a tug on the shirt.
Well, whatever you want to call it. But a pull.
He wrestled, what's his name, Ramsdale to the ground. He wrestled him. He had both hands full of his shirt, pulled him down. It was obvious, you know. I mean, I'm not being funny or nothing. That to me would have been a yellow card as well as a, you know, chalked off goal.
Yeah. I think we're.
I've spoken to a referee. Okay, and he's one of our regular viewers. He comes onto my channel. He comes onto here. I've seen him on Claret and Booze. I've seen him on Hammer's Chat as well. He's an ex-referee. He did the job for over 20 years. But he says, and he wasn't joking when he said it, he felt that it was an encroachment on Souček, which is why Souček reacted the way he did. He felt that it should have been a penalty if the goal hadn't have gone in.
Yeah, again, that's something I'll have to go back and look at. That's an interesting...
Yeah, that's exactly it, you know.
So the next one is, this is a bit trickier. Evening, fellas, do you think Tim has won the power struggle between him and Moyes? I do. I think Tim has won the power struggle when it comes to players. I believe that in the January transfer window that Steidton will decide who we sign and not Moyes. I really believe that now. I do think Steidton has been given the power to decide what players are bought going forward. Yeah. I doubt that any players we see coming in from now on players that Moyes and I think rather than because I don't think Steidton would put up with anything else. Steidton was brought in to be the director of football. I think if push came to shove, it would be Moyes who would lose that power struggle. And if one of them had to go, if Steidton gave an ultimatum, and I suspect he might have, then it would be David Moyes who would either have to walk or be sacked rather than losing Steidton. I think Steidton absolutely has won the power struggle. What do you think?
Well, I think rather than it being... See, I kind of don't like these media quotes, you know, like power struggle and those kinds of, you know, things actually annoy me. I don't think it was so much a power struggle, but I think they've reached a status quo wherein they've come to an agreement that Tim Steidten will go out and do the recruitment. That's what he's been brought in for. That's what he's going to go out and do. And I think David Moyes is going to concentrate on prepping them, getting them ready for the Premiership, playing them, getting the results, getting the silverware, hopefully, in the future. Now, that's how I think power struggle is quite a strong word for me. Now, when you say, has Tim won the power struggle, does that mean he also has control over David Moyes?
He should
I
have.
don't think so.
For football.
I think the day-to-day running and selection of the team and everything should be left alone. I think David Moyes should be left alone with that. That's just my personal opinion.
Well, he will be. Tim Steidten has no interest in picking the team.
Exactly that. But he will pick the players that come to the club, which is a good thing, because if we look at the two definites that we know of that are Tim Steidten's signings, which is Mavropanos and Kudus, they're definitely Tim Steidten signings, without a shadow of doubt. It's almost been confirmed by somebody high up in the club, according to Gonzo this morning. So those two, I mean, they're quality. I mean, they're both, look, on Wednesday's performances, they're both undroppable. Simple as that. Mavropanos was incredible. He even, at one point, he was even the most forward player when he ran that ball up, got the team a corner. He had no one to pass it. Everybody just let him go, including our boys. It was quite.
He surprised
funny to watch.
I think he surprised his teammates as much as Arsenal.
Yeah. But I think there's been a status quo. I think they've reached an agreement. That's my opinion.
Well, hopefully, we want symbiosis. At the club.
That's what we want. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Peter Chelmsford is asking: was it Moyes' tactics, or did the players just play how they wanted? I think it was. I suspect because it was a cup game that he kind of let the handbrake off a bit. I don't think Moyes would have felt it was the end of the world if we didn't beat them, but I suspect because it was a cup game that he maybe just let the handbrake off a little bit and gave him a little bit more freedom to press higher up the pitch, to get in their faces and to have a go at them. I don't believe that when we play Arsenal at home in the league that he'll allow the players to do the same thing. I suspect he'll put them back into their low block and try and play on the counter. I don't think he'll engage in the high press like he did on Wednesday. I suspect it was Moyes' tactics to let them go and have a go, but I think it's only because it was in the cup. What do you think?
I think there's a lot of merit in what you just said there, Tommy. I agree with 99% of that. I also would like to add that I think that with his selection, his team selection on the night, it kind of dictated how the play was going to go. I mean, he had Benrahma out on the far left, he had Kudus out on the right, he had Bowen up top in the middle with Paquetá behind him. That's four very, very offensive players. Now, that was not a forced lineup. He wasn't forced into dropping Antonio through injury or suspension or anything like that. It was a choice. It was a tactical choice. And to be fair, I thought it was inspired on Wednesday. He went out there. Arsenal were expecting, as you said, the low block, the counter-attack tactics. We didn't do it. We pressed them hard. We were first on the ball every time we could be. We were, closing down players far quicker than we have been in 2 or 3 seasons.
We bullied Arsenal.
I thought that Wednesday night was much, much more the kind of football that all of the fans that comment on these shows, that's more like the football they're looking for. The Moyes ball, they don't like. I think that was more the kind of football that they're looking for.
Yeah, and we're good enough to do it. That's the thing. Like I'd understand the sitting back, low block, defensive kind of structure, hitting on the counter, if we were lacking enough quality players. If we
Yeah.
were like Sheffield United, I'd completely understand doing that because it probably would be our best bet for trying to get something out the game. But I think we've seen on the occasions where he does take the shackles off and he takes a more positive approach, where he plays more of a high press, gets in people's faces, gets physical, and gets after them, that we've got some superb footballers and we're capable. If we can do that to Arsenal, and I grant, look, I accept that it wasn't their best 11, but I still had a very good team out. And if we can do that to them, we can do that to a lot of teams in the Premier League. If we just go out and have a go at them
I
and
said the
impose
other
ourselves,
night,
we've got really good
on
footballers.
I said on Thursday, last night, I said with the way that we came out last night or on Wednesday night, the way we played, the way we closed players down, our long balls were precise and effective. I think that a lot of teams would be looking at that game going, I don't want to play that team right now. Man City included. I think Man City will look at that and go, that's not going to be an easy game. And to be fair, that was always part of the West Ham way. We all talk about what the West Ham way is, and that was part of it. Teams not wanting to come and play against us, or not wanting us to come and play against them, because they know they're in for a bit of a job, Yeah. And with that line-up, them tactics, that 4-3-3 formation that he put out, I thought that was, as I said, inspired, and I thought that even people like, Man City, United, Tottenham and that, they're all going to look at that game and they're going to go, that's not a team we need to be playing right now. That team there is capable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like you said, Tom, we are capable of a lot of good things. We've got the players to do it. And, I'm probably going to get criticised for saying this, but, we have got a foundation on which to build, to look at challenging for the Premiership. Now, okay, last year we struggled to stay up, but we've added new players to our team since then. We've found a formation that works against, a very, very good club in Arsenal. We're not going to be able to use some of those players tomorrow, but that's neither here nor there. But what I'm saying is that we've got a foundation on which we can build, and who knows, in 3 or 4 years' time, we could be challenging for top 4. We could be challenging for Champions League football. If we can keep the players that we've got and add to them with equal quality.
Yeah, well, that's what Stuyden's here to do. So let's hope he's successful at it.
That's exactly it.
Paul Chambers asks, I'm going to try and fly through some of these questions because I need to catch up. So
let's do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Will Dino make Aguerd a better player? As good as Zuma has been at times, let's be honest, he's a bit basic. What do you think about the situation at centre back? Because this is one of the big questions I think that's come up.
I'd say don't change it from Wednesday.
Because, Zuma obviously is a club captain.
Yeah, he is, and he's an exceptional
knees, and he can't play every week.
He can't even play twice a week. It'll be
interesting to see what happens here. What's your feeling on the centre-back situation?
I think we shouldn't change it. I think Aguerd and Dinos were impeccable. I mean, look, I do love Oggy, but his time at the club is coming to an end. He's seeing out his final year or so with the club, which I fully admire and respect. So Oggy isn't going to be our number one choice. Zuma, club captain, exceptional defender, and has improved greatly since he's come to the club. But as you said, there is a worry with his knees and so on and so forth. Can't play more than once a week. Can't always play every week. susceptible to injury. Don't get me wrong, I think he's the right man for the armband right now. But club captain, yes, not necessarily on-field captain. I mean, like, remember when Noble was club captain and Deck was our on-field captain? That worked. That can work again. But I think that Dinos and Aguerd are our best pairing at this moment.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting one. That it's a tough one for Moyes, I think. But at least now, I think if the worst comes to the worst, and Zuma were to be out for a while, I think we have that comfort blanket now that we know that we've got someone there in Mavropanos who can come in and do a really good job. I wouldn't want to base the centre-back pairing on just the Arsenal game. I'd want to see it in the Premier League.
Yeah, of course.
More than one game.
But, I mean, John makes a good point here in the chat. It's quite a way down for you at the moment, Tommy.
Yeah,
but he says that Dino and Aguerd will allow us to play a bit higher up the pitch because Zuma has no pace. That's very, very, very true. I mean, we saw how quick Mavropanos can move on Wednesday. We know how good Aguerd is, and we know how quickly he can get back. I think he makes a good point. You know that's a decent pairing. Like you said, you can't judge it all on one game. And to be fair, Mavropanos is the unknown quantity in the whole of this scenario, because he's only had 3 appearances now. One of them for 90 minutes, which was Wednesday. Probably the best 90 minutes I've seen out of a central defender. Probably the best performance I've seen from a new player at the club, as in a central defender, in quite a while. I mean, when Zuma first came in, there was 1 or 2 faux pas in him. There was a few mistakes in him. But we've got past that now. There's less and less. Aguerd, we've seen a few mistakes from him. We've seen quite a few from Ogbonna, including the own goal a couple of weeks ago.
But I think that is a very good point, though. I think the luxury you do have with Aguerd and Mavropanos is that you can play a high press, and have your defensive line higher up the pitch, because they have the recovery pace for any balls that are played in behind. Mark Watson saying, can Antonio and Kudus play in the same team with Antonio back on the wing? Here's the possibility. Here's why I'm interested in this one, is because of the Brentford game tomorrow. Yeah, we don't have is it Alvarez or Paqueta? So there is an option actually where I don't think you would put Antonio back on the wing tomorrow. I think Antonio will start up front and Bowen will move back to his right wing position. But I absolutely think Kudus should be brought into central midfield.
Number 10.
If you bring him in, you're going to bring him in maybe alongside maybe Souček, who's going to play the more. Souček's going to have to be the defensive midfielder tomorrow. I know it's not his preferred role. He likes getting forward. He likes getting on the attack.
I was chatting with Gatesy,
and he's tomorrow, and he's going to have to do a defensive role for us tomorrow with Alvarez out, and then you can have JWP in there, Ward-Prowse and Kudus in that central midfield. I think that's the way I would go. So tomorrow, certainly, I think we probably could see Kudus centrally with Antonio up top and Bowen back on the right-hand side. But long term, I don't see that happening.
Yeah. I think, what we're probably going to see is a slight alteration on the formation as well. Because we haven't got Alvarez and because we haven't got Paqueta, he's got to change things slightly with different players. So I think when we could even see it forming into like a 4-1-4-1 formation at times, But I think, Thomas Souček, if he can be regimented in that central defensive midfield role for tomorrow's game, then I think the Alvarez missing will be less painful. I'm not saying it's going to be completely pain-free, but it'll be less painful, I think, because Souček's great at intercepting. He's really good at retaining the ball. It's just his passing, his long passes and stuff. So, I mean, he needs to be like having, as you said, Kudus in the 10 role, dropping deeper to take the ball and bring it forward. And, you know, I think he's going to play JWP from minute 1 tomorrow. So let's hope that whatever team he puts out, let's hope that they do have the drive that we saw in midweek. You know, I just really want that cohesion that we had to continue. I mean, that was such a good performance.
Yeah. I guess we'll move on to tomorrow then.
Yeah.
And as we say, Moyes has got some decisions to make. Obviously, we've got suspensions tomorrow, big ones as well. I mean, they're going to hurt us, you know, not having Alvarez and Paqueta in the team. So if we go through who we'd like to see, well, would you go Areola or Fabs in goal tomorrow? Fabs was
definitely Areola.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't done anything that would take him out.
No, he's done nothing wrong. He's done an exceptional job. I mean, how many times do you get to see, like Sky Sports Football or the Premier League or whatever? How many times do you actually see a goal or save of the month competition, and 2 of them are from a West Ham goalkeeper? Last month, Areola had 2 saves in that competition. All right, he didn't win it, but, you know, you don't expect it. But we had two you know, so Areola has proven to be the player that we wanted, the one that we bought. You know, we had a try before you buy season with him, and it worked really well. I thought it worked brilliantly. And then in his following season, he helps us to lift the first silverware in 47 years by being exceptional at his job.
Yeah. So,
you know?
Okay. So I think that is what will happen. So he'll be in goal.
He'll be in goal tomorrow, yeah.
John brings up an interesting point, given the suspensions to Paqueta and Alvarez. Do you think Moyes will be tempted to change formation for this one, or do you think he'll stick with the 4-3-3?
I'd like to see him stick with the 4-3-3. I would. But chances are, because of the players that he's got, he's going to have to tweak that a bit. So we might end up seeing a 4-1-4-1 or a 4-2-3-1 or whatever. You know, anything can happen. But yeah, I think he probably will. I've got to answer this call because this is from the hospital, so I'll be back in 1 moment, Tom.
No problem, mate. Okay. While he's on this important call, we're going to go through some of the comments there. Mike says, I don't think Moyes got him to pick that team of tactics he's never done. No, Moyes is not letting anybody tell him what team to pick or what tactics to play. He may take some advice, but no one's going to dictate to him who starts and who doesn't, or what the formation is going to be, or what the tactics will be. Maltese Hammer said it wasn't just Arsenal who expected us to play the low block. No, I think we all were expecting kind of usual. It was a pleasant surprise, actually. Brian P says West Ham were fired up and hunting impacts on Wednesday night. Players playing in their best positions also helped. Yeah, it was really refreshing to see us actually really go after a team. And what I was really, really pleased with is far too many times this season, for some reason, we've been very, very sluggish at the start of the second half. And it was really great to see us come out in that second half with the amount of intent that we did, and to really get after Arsenal. right at the start of that second half. I was worried that we were going to be really sluggish at the start of the second half again, but we came out the complete opposite way. That was really good to see. And I have to give a shout out to Lucas Paqueta, who's my favourite player on the team. I think he's just fucking wonderful.
Yeah.
That no-look reverse pass he gave to Bowen at the start of the second half where Bowen almost scored.
Yeah.
I mean, what a fucking pass that was. The guy
and
is
was
just...
the second time he'd done that in the game. The first one, as you mentioned earlier, went too far. He put it too strongly through. It's a very, very similar situation. Quality.
I mean,
he's one
I just love watching the guy play football. I just absolutely do. And I see some fans, you know, they'll be on social media complaining about, oh, he's given the ball away 3 times or something like that. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. With a player like Paqueta, imagine giving him shit because he's given the ball away 3 times, or every time he gives the ball away, you give him shit. What's he going to do? He's going to stop trying things. He's going to be saying, fucking hell, if I try and make this pass, which is a lower percentage pass, and I give it away, I'm going to get pelters. We want players like Paqueta to try stuff because they'll do something magical. That no-look reverse pass to Bowen was unbelievable. Imagine getting it into his head that, I don't want to try the riskier passes in case I get shit if I give the ball away. He's going to give the ball away sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's worth allowing him that freedom to get it wrong because, like you say,
85% of the time he's going to get it right.
Most of the time he'll get it right, and when he does, he'll hurt opponents. So I don't care that he misplaces the pass sometimes. No. Keep doing it. Keep trying stuff because he's good enough to pull off some sublime stuff. I just love watching that guy play football. Brendan, there was some good partnership with Wednesday. Bowen seems to have struck up an immediate understanding with Kudus. That's true. Dino and Aguerd looked good as a pair.
I just want to explain quickly about that call. A mate of mine, his wife was taken to hospital. She's pregnant. They're having complications. He's just told me the little girl's just been born. Everything's fine.
Oh, fantastic news.
Yeah. Congratulations, Andy and Sophie.
Yeah, fantastic. Congratulations to both of you. Absolutely delighted for you. Obviously, there must have been a lot of tense, moments.
Yeah, that's why he phoned me, and that's why I took the call, because I was actually dreading the call, but there you go.
Yeah.
It turned out right in the end.
Yeah, fantastic news. El Chico saying, whatever he's smoking has gone to his head, challenge with this team. We lost to Everton the other day. I don't think he means with this team. I think Budgie was saying, if we can continue to get the signings right, as we have done with Mavropanos and Kudus, and continue to improve in each position.
And just in my defence, El Chico, I didn't say with this team we could challenge. I said with this team it is a platform to build on to challenge. These players that we have now are good enough to be part of the squad for a club to challenge. I didn't say that we could challenge. I said 4 or 5 years, actually. 3 or 4 years. So it's not an immediate challenge, El Chico.
Look,
so don't take me too literally, buddy, Yeah.
If Tim Stuyton keeps cooking, the way he has been, there's absolutely no reason that we cannot challenge for a Champions League spot, especially if it drops down to 5th place. If you're talking about the first 5, as it is now, I think, is it 5?
Yeah.
Premier League for Champions League. I mean, we could absolutely have a top 5 season if Stuyton keeps getting in players like Kudus. I mean,
I mean, we finished 6th and 7th in consecutive years. Why not? Why not? We've got better players now.
Peter
We've got
Chelmsford.
a much better system in place.
Look at this. Peter Chelmsford. Give your head a wobble.
No,
I know Walkie's coming towards the end of his career. I know he's not the player he was. And he scored an own goal the other day, but that's Oggy slander. Let him go in January. He's in his last year with the club. He's going to retire at the end of the season. He's been a brilliant, brilliant servant for West Ham.
Yeah, and we should allow him to finish his career with us.
Oggy absolutely deserves to retire a Hammer. Absolutely deserves it.
Yeah.
Letting him go in January would be the shittest thing I can imagine to do.
I mean, it's not about what he's doing on the field either, Peter, really, to be fair. I mean, if you watch any of the videos on YouTube and stuff of when new players come in and like their first day in training and stuff. Like the first player that they come across generally is Oggy, and he is the one that welcomes them to the club. Even when Mark Noble was there, Oggy was always one of the first guys that they would link up with, and he's a hammer through and through. And I believe what you say is true, Tommy. He should be allowed to finish his career as a hammer, and and let him retire on his own terms.
Yeah, that's only right. You have to do right by people, and Oggy's been amazing. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Oggy back as a coach, as a defensive coach, at some point.
I'm pretty sure he'll be a club representative for some time as well. Like if he doesn't do his coaching straight away,
Yeah.
But I like it's funny because a lot of players, and even I watched one of Jack Mate's interviews. Even he says, a lot of players, when they come to West Ham, they become a hammer. It's unlike any other club that they've ever played for.
Yeah.
And like Oggy doesn't want to be finishing his career at, I don't know, Reading or wherever. He wants to finish it as a hammer, as a champion of Europe.
Yeah, and it's
Let him
only
do
right.
that.
So if you're sticking with, say, we'll carry on with the team, sticking with the 4-3-3 formation, what's your back four?
Ideally, for me, Emerson on the left, Soufal on the right, Mavropanos and Aguerd in the middle. That's probably not going to happen. It's probably going to be Aguerd and Zuma.
On that thought, Budgie, apparently Zuma...
Oh, unless Zuma's injured, yes.
He's not been training, so I think you will see what you want to see, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Aguerd and Mavropanos. It worked on Wednesday. Why not? Let's be honest. Brentford, as good a team as they are and as great as they're doing, as well as they're doing, they're not Arsenal, and they're not as good as the team that Arsenal put out. And we managed to do a job on Arsenal, so we should be able to do a job on Brentford. With that back four.
What's your midfield three? How are you going to rejig the midfield then?
Well, I would have like a diamond three in JWP, Soucek, and then Kudus slightly ahead of them.
Sorry, I was just going through the comments here. Sorry, what was the three?
JWP, Soucek, and Kudus slightly ahead of them.
Yeah. Okay, so kind of a diamond, as it were, almost. Yeah. Sorry, a triangle. And what's your front three then?
Bowen on the right. It's going to have to be Antonio up front, I think, because let's be fair, David Moyes is too loyal to him. So it's going to be him up front. And I like Benny on the left. I really do like Benny on the left. So that would be my chosen three, I suppose.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting what Moyes does, because there was an interesting comment. I apologise to whoever it was because I don't remember who made the comment. But he said there would also be, if you wanted to do it, and he'd probably be capable at defensive midfielder, you could put Kerrer in there instead of Alvarez to do a job as a defensive midfielder.
Yeah, even Kieran said that. Kieran Delaney said that.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't know if Moyes would plump for that. You never know with him.
It might have been Happy that said it, because she said it to me before as well.
Yeah, so that would certainly be interesting to see Kerrer play defensive midfield. I haven't seen him play there. I don't know if we've played him there before. I haven't seen him there, but I have a suspicion.
It can't be any worse than his right back performances, can it?
No.
I mean, he hasn't been terrible, but he hasn't been the best right back either.
No, but you suspect it's a role he could actually play.
Yeah, with a little bit of coaching and so on and so forth, I wouldn't see why not.
I think he would actually take quite well to a defensive midfield role. He just seems to have the attributes to kind of play that role. He's got the
Yeah,
mobility, he's got the passing,
yeah.
so he's good on the ball.
He's got the attitude as well. I mean, you see him giving instructions on the pitch all the time. Yeah, see, it was
Yeah,
Amrat. Yeah, so, Kera, I mean, he's another one that you could throw in the hat for on-field captain, if Zuma's not playing.
yeah.
He's one of a handful of players that you could, I mean, and it's only a small handful of players that I believe are captain material at West Ham right now. But, I mean, for me, all things being equal, tomorrow, okay, we're not going to see Paqueta and we're not going to see Alvarez, but I think we've got to have Emerson out on the left. I think we've got to have Soufal out on the right because the delivery from them two is fantastic.
Yeah.
90% of the time. Yeah, okay, Soufal struggles to get up and down the pitch as quickly as others, but he gets up and down the pitch. And, he can turn on a little turn of pace every now and again, for short bursts. But, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of onus on Tommy Soucek tomorrow, though. I think he's going to be the central pin that we're going to rely on in midfield.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he sticks with the 4-3 or if he can't help the temptation of switching to wing backs, given that he's down a couple of midfielders. But the funny thing for me would be tactically what happens
I'd
tomorrow.
be all right with that, though, Tommy, with the wing back system.
Yeah, I mean, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Yeah, that would be interesting because he'd probably use Kerr in the back three, maybe in that instance, if Zuma's not available. You could have, Kerr as one of the three centre backs in that wing back system. But it'll be interesting to see how he deals with the suspensions. It'll be very interesting to see. Also, tactically, it's going to be really interesting to me because whereas Moyes likes the low block, let the opposition have the ball, hitting the counter. Brentford, like Thomas Frank at Brentford, quite likes to play counter-attacking football himself. So I think we're going to actually have quite a bit of possession tomorrow. I think Brentford would be quite happy for us to actually have the ball in our own half, carry it in through the midfield, and then they'll press in their own half like a mid-block. They play like a mid-block type of game, where as soon as you get into their half of the pitch, they'll start pressing, try and nick the ball back, and then they'll try and hit you on the counter. So I think it's going to be a little game of cat and mouse, where neither manager really particularly wants to have most of the possession. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Possession stats could be quite even tomorrow. Might not be much in it. And it'll be interesting to see if we're going to be able to find a way to break them down in the times where they're allowing us to have possession and say, right then, come on, break us down, see if you can break us down.
That's the time when you want Aguerd on the ball and Kudus floating, or you want Bowen floating, ready to receive, that. Like when we've got the possession, that's when them guys need to be finding a bit of space, because that's going to be very difficult for them. Because Brentford, as you said, will close us down. They'll shut up shop, and then they'll press when we get into their half. We got to make sure that when we're in their half, we're A, clinical, and B, quick. We can't be hanging about on the ball because they've got the players that will track it down and, try and get it off you. So I think, once we've got the ball in their half, we need to be playing the ball quickly. So we need the players that can do that.
Yeah.
I think Kudus is one of them that can. Bowen definitely is one that can. And I think, I know there's a lot of criticism for him at the moment, and I've been critical of him myself. He's not the player we expected when we bought him, but I think Ben Rama can do a real job for us because he's fast, he's got the tricks, he's got this and that. But, I think with the right players around him, he's going to be more inclined to be less selfish with the ball. Do you know what I mean? Like if you've got a player like Kudus up alongside you, or in front of you, or someone like, Bowen there, ready to receive the ball, you're going to get the ball to them quicker because you know that something special is going to happen. And that's, I believe, is what Ben Rama would do. I can't see anybody else in our squad that's as effective out on that left wing. Sorry, I can't.
I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm going to come back to it in a minute. Because this is one of the things I wanted to talk about, because I think this is vital this season. But before I come directly to that, because we're on the Brentford game, what's your gut feeling, Budgie, for tomorrow? Are you optimistic, pessimistic? Obviously, we've got two key players in suspended. Zuma probably can't play. So how are you feeling about tomorrow? Obviously, Brentford have not, hasn't been a happy hunting ground for us.
No, I mean, we've only had draws and losses against them, haven't we? Oh, one win, I think.
We had one win. But I think, I'm trying to think that one win, I think was towards the end of last season when we were really needed to survive. And we beat them in the run-in. Yeah. We really needed a result. And frankly, I think their season had kind of run its course. They had nothing particular.
Yeah, they'd kind of burned out a little bit towards the end of the season, yeah.
Okay, this is
important. I think my gut feeling
for answer, I don't know if you know, but Nick is saying that apparently Brentford have got 7 players out.
I hope Mabuemo's one of them.
Yeah, he always causes.
That's the man I fear the most in that squad at this moment in time. Obviously, without Ivan Toney, he's their talisman. And he's doing a bloody good job of it. He's getting goals, he's getting assists, he's strong. He's everything I would want at West Ham, to be honest with you. He's a quality striker. But, yeah, he's the man. I hope he's not playing, if that's the case, That's exactly right, Nick. The best chance we've had in ages to get them. Got to go for the throat.
Yeah. What's your feeling? What do you think? What will happen?
Well, myself and Emma, this is Emma, by the way. She's a positive potato. Emma Peel. We think that it's going to be 2-1 West Ham.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll take that all day long. Any win in the Premier League is a good win. 7 players out. My hope is that Wednesday night's given everybody a lift. And I'm encouraged by the performance. And my hope is that David Moyes has kind of realised, okay, Kudus and Bowen carry such a threat, in the final third. And I hope that he continues with that. And that he allows them to press Brentford when they're in possession, that he allows them to be positive and to get after them. That's my hope. And also, I think Paul Evans is right here. I don't think Brentford look quite as good as they did last season. Yeah. They're still a decent side and they're still a difficult opponent, particularly at their place. But I don't know. I think we'll get something. I think we will feel the loss of Paqueta and Alvarez.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm confident enough to go and that I think we'll go and beat them. But I think maybe we can go there and get a point. I think we can match them and take a point from the game. So I'd love it if we beat them, obviously. We need a win in the league. I know the cup win was a nice pick-me-up. And it's always a delight to beat Arsenal. But we need a league. We need to get back on track in the Premier League. We've had 2 very bad rehearsals.
I'm just
So
looking.
we got thrashed, absolutely thrashed by Aston Villa, and then
Yeah,
the loss at home to Everton was a really poor
that
performance,
was a
really poor loss.
disgusting
It was
display.
horrible. So we need win in the league, and more than just a win, we need more than just a shithouse 1-0 win. We need to go out and put in a really decent performance
Yeah,
and get the 3 points. And I'm hoping we can do that tomorrow. But with the two suspended players who are kind of very important players, um, I think maybe we can take a point down there. But
yeah.
all will be revealed tomorrow. But
I'm just looking at the odds on the Coral app for tomorrow's game. Now we're 13-5 to win. It's also 13-5 for the draw,
yeah,
but it's even money for Brentford to win.
yeah.
They've got Brentford down as the favourites, clearly,
Yes, well, I think that's probably right.
because they are at home anyway. So
They're at
I
home,
suppose.
and we don't have Paqueta or Alvarez, two of our midfield.
Yeah,
Um, so look, we'll see. We'll see.
yeah.
We're certainly capable of going there and turning them over.
I think we will. I mean, I think we probably. I think Wednesday will have been a turning point for us this year. This year, I don't care what competition it's in. If you beat one of the greedy six, it's got to give you something, isn't it? It's got to put something in your drink, isn't it? Surely, you
Yeah,
know.
it should. Yeah, it should. Um,
I mean, like the amount of negativity that was around leading up to that game from West Ham fans, myself included. I mean, I really didn't believe that we could get a result at Arsenal or with against Arsenal. But you know, it, we were all proved wrong. We were all happily, turned away from it with 3 points. Well, no, not 3 points in the bag, but progression to the next stage of the competition, which in league terms that would have been 3 points, obviously. So I don't see why we should fear tomorrow's game. I think we should go at tomorrow's game with a bit of confidence. I think we should have our. I think we should have our. What's the word I'm looking for? I think not confidence, because I've already mentioned that, but I think our approach to the game. I think our drive needs to be, as Nick said earlier, go for the throat. I don't think we should let them rest. I don't think we should give them any time on the ball. I think we should press them as hard and fast as they do to us. And, if we play the game we played on Wednesday, which is basically a typical Brentford game, if we play that game on Wednesday, Brentford won't be able to deal with us. They won't.
hopefully,
You see them against teams like Palace. They struggle against Palace. Palace play the high press, etc., etc. They struggle against them. We've got to try and do that. We've got to try and adapt our tactics and our approach to the game to each individual club. Not just have a blanket, low press, counter-attacking system. And I think that's one of the things that frustrates a lot of the West Ham fans, Tommy. Including me. It's kind of like same old every bloody week. You want to see something a bit exciting. Want to see something a bit special.
yeah, it can be very frustrating at times because I think often it seems that Moyes could trust our players a little
You're on
more.
camera.
That Moyes needs to understand that actually we do have very good players, and that we can actually go toe to toe with teams and get on the attack and get after them and beat
Yeah.
them. I know he likes the low block and he likes to try and keep it compact, but let's be honest. Even playing that way, we haven't we haven't really been stingy defensively, have we? We've been leaking goals anyway. We're conceding every bloody game that we play anyway. So I think just let the players off the leash a little bit. They're really good
Yeah.
players. They can get it done for you. against a lot of the teams that we play in the Premier League. We're better than a lot of them. We got better players than a lot of them. Let them go and express themselves. Let them go and impose themselves on our opponents more often than he does. I know there are some games where a low block is absolutely acceptable, and it's maybe right tactically in some games to do that. But I think
City,
in a lot
for
of games,
example.
I think in a lot of games in the Premier League that we're more than a match for our opponents, and should be allowed to get after them more than we do. But just before we finish up, Budgie,
Yep.
I do want to get back to, you were talking about Benny, about his left-hand side. Now,
Yes.
recently, obviously, we've seen Paqueta playing over there, and I think he's
Didn't
done
like it.
quite well. I don't like it either, frankly. He has done well over there, but I think that's because he's such a brilliant footballer. Just
You could put him anywhere.
wherever he gets.
Put the gloves on him and he'd perform.
Yeah,
You know?
so wherever you put him, he's going to look like a bloody good footballer. But ideally, you want to see him playing centrally, in my opinion.
Exactly.
So for me, I think the big thing, if we're to go on and have a potentially successful season, I think in January we've got to, or Tim Steidton, for me, has got to find a baller for that left wing. I think.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if he finds another Kudus or Bowen who's on the left-hand side,
Yeah.
can really impact the game from that side?
Do you
And
know?
can you imagine if we've got Bowen up top and
Yeah.
Kudus on the right of him, and then a new player in that style who's top quality on the left? It would be an absolute fucking nightmare for teams. A nightmare to try and
I've got to be honest with you, Tommy. I'd be happy with
keep
another
all of
Robert
them and keep all
Snodgrass
them
out there.
quiet, keep them all away from goal. If we can you imagine if we've got Paqueta, Alvarez, Ward-Prowse as the midfield three, and then we've got Bowen up top with Kudus on the right and this new fantastic player on the left. I mean, I think that's a huge missing piece. Look, I agree with you. I like Benny, but his end product is absolutely shocking. It really is.
It is, but he's the best we've got in that position right now.
He gets into really promising positions and nothing happens. Far too often. He wastes it. We don't, I think Paqueta's wasted over there. He needs to play centrally. Cornet hasn't worked out. Fornals, whenever he's played out there, he's a fish out of water over there, doesn't belong there.
There's the thing, Tom.
One of the key missing pieces in this team, Budgie, and I think it should be our top priority in the January transfer window. And if we were to do that and Steidton gets that signing right, I think the second half of the season, we could be a serious, serious prospect.
There's the thing, though, Tom. Right, you mentioned Cornet, saying that he hasn't worked out, but give me an honest appraisal of Maxwell Cornet at West Ham. You're struggling for words, Tom. That's my point.
Because it's difficult.
Because he hasn't been given the opportunity. Because he's not a David Moyes signing.
No, I'll tell you why. Because it's just one of the strangest kind of signings ever. It's hard for me to actually come to any conclusions about Cornet. Like on the one hand, he had that injury that was really troublesome, which initially seemed like it should be a pretty straightforward one, which wouldn't keep him out for long. It looked like he'd be back soon. He'd get back in the team, and then we'd hopefully get his West Ham career up and running. That didn't happen. I don't know what's going on with him and Moyes behind the scenes. For a while, it looked like maybe there was some attitude issue with Cornet.
When you looked at him at Burnley, the guy was fire.
Yeah,
out on that left-hand side.
Burnley. So when we signed him, I was really happy. I thought,
I was really excited about it.
He had done exceptionally well in a Burnley team that got relegated. I mean, his goals and assists, his performances were excellent. And so I was quite excited when we signed him. I thought he was going to be an excellent left-sided player for us. Exactly. But since he came back from that injury, for some reason, it just hasn't happened. And Moyes has, like you said, Moyes has never really given him a chance to tie down that kind of left-hand side. When we've
Yeah,
seen it's mostly been off the bench for a few minutes, and even a lot of the time when he has come off the bench for the kind of remaining 10 minutes or whatever it
mm,
is, he's been played through the middle up front. He's Antonio's come off and he's put Corney up top, which
yeah.
is his
Not
best
his
position.
favoured
He's not a
position.
natural number 9.
No.
So given that Benny is his end product is so poor and that Fornells isn't great out there, I can't understand why he hasn't been given more games on that left hand side to kind of make that position his own, or at least be given the opportunity to.
Exactly my point right at the beginning when I asked you to appraise him. We
Yeah.
can't because he
Yeah.
hasn't been given the opportunity. And the opportunities that he has been given, it's like, oh yeah, you got 5 minutes, do what you can. That's wrong because he is such a good player. I mean, I've watched him when he played for. Who was it he played for before Burnley? French League, I think it was.
Yeah, it was in France. I can't remember the team. I didn't see him play in France, to be honest.
I've watched quite a few of the highlights reels of him, and okay, I understand a lot of people say, yeah, but they only show you the best bits. But that's the bits that you buy a player for. You don't buy a player for his shit bits, do you? You know what I mean? You don't buy a player because he scores more own goals than anyone else. You buy a player for the good stuff they do. And to be fair, Maxwell Cornet is underrated and undervalued by West Ham. And I'm not just talking about the management and the coaching staff. I'm talking about the fan base as well. I believe that we underrate him.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? It looks like he just doesn't have a future at the club at the moment. I expect he'll be moved on. Whether it'll be January or the summer remains to be seen. I suspect Moyes will probably want to keep him around till the summer because we
Yeah.
may have a number of games.
But you never know. He might even do a Yarmolenko on him, on Cornet. And Yarmolenko was injured, came back, didn't really click for him. He was kept in the background. He was given minutes here, there, and everywhere, and then all of a sudden, he's up for sale, gone.
Yeah, I think at this point, I think Moyes has. It seems Moyes has kind of given up on him at this point.
It does. In fact, it doesn't really. It never really looked like Moyes was interested in him. To be fair.
Yeah, I think Moyes, like you say, just didn't take to him as a person. I think he maybe didn't like Corney's attitude. Now he has played him since when he's felt he's needed to bring him on off the bench, or he just wanted to get Antonio off and rest him,
Yep.
chucked him on. But he's never really seriously looked. He's never really, either Moyes or the fans or anyone, we've never really gotten a proper look at Cornet. I mean, he's never played in a string of games. So I don't know. I haven't given up on Cornet as such. I think I'd like to actually see Cornet in a run of games, just to see what he's got. I mean, undeniably there's talent there. There's undeniable talent there. But I just think it's one of those disappointing ones.
He's got 2 good feet as well, Tom.
Yeah.
Very much in the same sort of vein as Paqueta, where he can use either foot for any kind of pass, shot, whatever. He can do it with either foot. And that's really, really helpful out on the left wing.
Yeah.
David Moyes likes an inverted winger, but the ability to be able to whip a ball in with your left foot takes that value up higher, in my opinion. It's clearly not in David Moyes', but
yeah, I'd at the moment, I'll be honest, with everybody fit, I would have a 4-3-3 with the midfield 3 being Alvarez, Paqueta, and Ward-Prowse.
yeah,
I'd have Kudus on the right, Bowen up top, and I would play Corney on the left for a few games. Like,
Yeah.
I think there's so much talent there with Cornet that he's just give him a run of games,
He's
get his
kind of
confidence.
like the forgotten man, though, isn't he? You
Yeah, he
know.
is. And let him work his way into the team. If he doesn't perform, then fair enough. You know, you
Yeah,
can say,
get rid
right,
of
you've
him. But
been given a proper chance here. You've been given a run of games, and you haven't made it happen. You haven't, nailed down that spot. You haven't performed well enough. Then I'd say, okay, let's move him on. It hasn't worked out.
yeah,
But I'd like to see him given a run of games. I mean, he can't be less effective than Benny or Fornals over there, surely. And,
no,
I mean, the fact that Moyes is having to play Paqueta over there says a lot, really. You know, it shouldn't be that way. Like, Paqueta's got no business being over there.
no, he hasn't. And like Moyes has got no business putting him out there either. Really, to be fair, he's got options that he can use. He just doesn't choose to use them. Again, that's a great comment, Stowe. Skamaka, the one that got away. Yeah, exactly.
I'm still pissed off about Skamaka, I won't lie. Yeah, I'm still pissed off about Skamaka. I think Skamaka's a really good player.
Yeah,
Um,
I think we missed the boat there, mate. I mean, we didn't treat him the way he should have been treated. We didn't play him the way he should have been played. And he wanted to go, and Moyes didn't want him there. So, but, similar story to Haller. Haller was potentially, well, at the time he was our most expensive player, and potentially he was the man that was going to get us 30 goals a season in all comps.
yeah,
He
I
never
think
got
there's a natural,
30 in the
yeah,
three
there's a
two
natural
seasons he was
striker
there.
there in Skamaka. I mean, he's a finisher.
Yeah,
And we have. It's been a while since we've had a real proper natural finisher up there, and I think we could have made Skamaka work. I really do. Um, but
I
Moyes
do.
just couldn't make it work.
I think, with the addition of Alvarez and JWP, that would have made Skamaka's job a lot easier.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, yeah. I think
Skamaka
what.
is having to work hard for what he got while he
Yeah,
was on the
I think
pitch.
what Nick says here is true. The only issue with Cornet is he gets caught offside a lot, but that was when he was up front on his own.
Yeah, yeah.
When he was up
I
front
mean,
on his own.
if you're using him as like effectively as a left winger,
Yeah, he won't get
yeah,
caught
he's going to get
offside.
caught
Left wing.
offside on the odd occasion. Of course he is, but it's going to be him that's going to be creating the play. Hopefully, do you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
when he's up top on his own, and he's going to get caught offside, especially
Yeah,
with his pace if that ball doesn't come quickly enough. But
yeah.
yeah, he is the
He
kind
can
of.
see the ball being passed before it gets passed, and
Yeah,
he's
he
already
is
offside.
though. Yeah, that's why you can't have him as a forward. He's the kind of player that like he'll get flagged offside taking a penalty. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
yeah.
yeah, if he was on the left, I think that would mitigate against the offsides quite a lot.
I
But
think so.
listen, we're going to leave it there.
Okay,
Um,
Tom.
really appreciate you joining me tonight, Budgie. It's been
No,
brilliant
it's been
having
an
you on,
absolute pleasure,
getting your
mate.
views on all things West Ham. I'll definitely have you on again if
Thank
you're
you.
up for it.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, and we'll very soon, hopefully.
Okay,
Um,
mate.
and also, as always, thanks to everybody in the live chat. I did try to include you a bit more than last week. I know last week kind of ignored the live chat a little bit too much, but hopefully, included you all a bit more this week. Obviously, thanks to everyone as well, everyone who's watching this back after the fact, everyone who's watching live. It's always great to know that I can rely on you to come and join me because it'd be embarrassing if I was talking to myself, frankly. So really appreciate you all, and hopefully you'll all join me again next weekend if you can. And fingers crossed we can get a positive performance and positive result tomorrow. Anything you want to say before we sign off, Budgie?
Couple of things, buddy. First of all, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell for future content. Give Tommy some love. Hit that like button. The other thing, obviously, is thank you very much for inviting me on, Tom. Appreciated. Love chatting with you. It's been interesting chat. Thank you
Yeah.
to all the guys in the chat, guys and girls. And it's nice to see a few new faces as well. So keep it coming, guys. Keep it coming.
Yeah. And as always, until next time, Come on, you are.